it's a sad thing when people waste their time and send out crap. And I think it's just the same as like people send out bad emails. It's just there's people that just don't put in the work.
Welcome back to another episode of the Revenue Reimagined podcast. Today is a very special day for us. As all of you know, this show is powered by Sendoso. It has taken us way too long, but we actually have with us today Kris Rudeegraap, who is the co-founder and CEO of none other than Sendoso. Kris has more than a decade of go-to-market experience and has spent time at TalkDesk, Yapstone, and Pecora, where he discovered that creating meaningful engagements through direct mail and gifting is actually, go figure, an effective way to drive pipeline and increase sales when you do it correctly, which is what helped inspire the idea for none other than Sendoso. Kris, thanks for joining the show,
Thanks for having me, Adam and Dale. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining. And it's funny, I used to partner with TalkDesk at a past life,
nice.
So super interested. One of the things we like to talk a lot about when we talk to founders of companies is kind of that evolution idea. Adam alluded to it in the introduction, but tell us a little bit about like why start Sendoso, what the evolution is of it, and kind of where you guys are now.
Yeah, so I spent about a decade in software sales prior to starting the company. And so I really saw a lot of the evolution of outbound prospecting. And, I was a full cycle AE. I was setting my own meetings. And so I was in the trenches. I remember when I think ToutApp and Yesware first came out, and they were like the cool shiny objects to like sequence emails, which was like game changer, about a decade ago or so. And I saw those tools quickly get copycatted, and there was dozens of clones. And then the, Outreach and SalesLofts emerged as kind of probably the leading ones in the space. And it was early for me to see, but I said, hey, there's going to be just an onslaught of email, a gazillion ways to send a gazillion emails. What else can you do to stand out or to break through that noise? And so I was manually doing a lot of handwritten notes. I'd be on a call and hear a dog bark and send a dog toy after from Amazon, or I'd go in our marketing swag closet and like steal swag from marketing and pack it up in boxes. Or I think one of the final straws for the idea was marketing when I was at TalkDesk was like, all right, you have these headphones, you're going to pack them up in boxes, write notes. And they'd have the sales team on Friday spend like 4 hours in the afternoon in like a little mini sweatshop factory, putting all these together. But it worked so well. We're like, why not? But, I was kind of like, isn't there a better way? Can't this be automated? Can't this be integrated? Can't this scale? And that was kind of the early idea for Sendoso, which is just really automating and scaling and making it easier to just click and send this stuff.
It's funny that you talk about going into the closet, boxing the swag. So Kris, I don't know if you remember, but I used to lead sales for a competitor in the space.
Yeah.
And the whole value prop was like everything you're talking about, although we didn't do a great job of it, but like having your revenue producing team going to some closet to take out whatever they want, box it up, and then probably have to go to some FedEx office and send it. Isn't effective,
not at all.
Nor is sending everyone the same pair of headphones, right?
Exactly.
Hence where something like Sendoso comes in. I've been a fan for a long time, and I think that meaningful gifting is important.
Yes.
But I feel like a lot of people get it wrong, right? Like I still get, I get probably 50 to 100 cold emails every couple days, LinkedIn, and every once in a while someone sends a gift. Mm-hmm. And it's usually some crappy tchotchke that shows up at my door that I have no desire to have, that typically goes right in the trash. How do we change that mindset other than like use Sendoso of like really bringing meaningful gifting? Like what is meaningful gifting, relevant gifting, and how do we get people to embrace it?
Yeah, I know. It's a sad thing when people waste their time and send out crap. And I think it's just the same as like people send out bad emails. It's just there's people that just don't put in the work to personalize, and it goes for direct mail gifting too. But in our eyes, there's really this kind of a couple of different things you can look for. It's really like, what's the right time to send the gift, which matters? What's the right before and after you send the gift, whether you set the stage with an email or you cold call afterwards or more of a warm call? What's the gift note with that message? What's the gift itself? What's the timing, and who else is receiving it on the buying committee? So there's 5 or 6 different ways that you can personalize what you're sending to make it more impactful and make it more relevant to solving the buyer's problems. Or further down in the funnel, like if it's showing up for a demo, or you're thanking them for coming by your conference, trade show booth, or they just became a customer, they made a referral. There's lots of different ways on the buying journey that you can connect the message and the gift, and drive better conversion and outcome.
Yeah, it was so funny. Right when you were talking about the origin and you talked about Todd app, and it brought me back like to meeting TK like in New York, and he was like packaging, like he was like wearing his t-shirts and like I close deals t-shirts.
Yep.
I don't know if you
I
remember those.
Yep.
Those are like vintage. I still have one. It's like super vintage TK, and I've talked to him a couple of times. But the interesting part was like those are really times where people were thinking and not just automating.
Mm-hmm.
Like too many people now are like automating things and not getting enough into the like personalization at scale enabling. And so I remember I ended up working at Oracle as a rep, and I would do the same thing. I would like order a bunch of golf balls or order a bunch of stuff and like start packaging it up, and they're like thinking about it in a different way. As we're going through all of this noise, how can people leverage something like Sendoso? Because I think the challenge I've seen sometimes, and I think in Sendoso setting this up is doing this really well, is how can we utilize AI to try to help them like minimize the time? Like we do a lot of research for prospecting for whatever, but how can Sendoso help on the AI side to help people create these gifts personalized?
It's a great question, and something that we've been really touting a lot lately is how our AI can help solve some of the manual effort that goes into researching somebody's past LinkedIn posts, and we can use AI for that, or picking out a gift based on somebody's conversations that they've had, or picking out a gift based on someone's location or title or persona. So a lot of those things we can automate with AI so that you're spending less time looking through all these old notes or research and bringing AI to do that. And I think that's a huge way to help reduce the time. I think the other thing is with gifting, there's an effort of sourcing, procurement, shipping, and tactically we take all that time away so that you can spend a minute longer thinking about what's that right crafted note, or we'll use AI to craft the note for you, but you use an extra couple minutes to like tweak it a little bit. And so I think we can eliminate some of the manual monotonous tasks that you used to have to do, like we talked about, and automate those so that you can spend more time on the actual personalization of things.
Yeah, I was just using some of the AI stuff that you guys have, and it's super cool because it will start like identifying, because I think sometimes we get stuck in our heads, what should we be personalizing? And then you go down a rabbit hole. Like every salesperson has ADD, and like they go down this rabbit hole, and then the gifting experience ends up taking like 2 hours, where it should just take like 15 minutes, like find something, get it going.
Exactly. And that's where like our smart send feature comes in, where it'll plug in an email address or somebody's information, and then we'll suggest things as well, which is really awesome.
It's kind of like prospecting, right? Spend the time on sending the email, making the calls, doing the actual revenue producing things, not the research. Go figure.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too with gifting is that there is an inherent cost to it. So it does preserve the channel a bit more. Unlike email, where it's $0 to send another email, ultimately, you're spending money. So you're getting less of it by nature. So you can stand out more, because if you actually put in the time and be thoughtful, you can probably count on a hand how many gifts you get a day compared to the number of emails you get a day. So,
I mean, you should see the crap Dale sends me. Like, use Sendoso and send me some relevant stuff, and I might open the gifts. Kris, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
So Sendoso has morphed a lot over the past several years. Grew up as the whole startup ecosystem was arguably changing from this grow at all costs mentality to scalable, sustainable growth. As you were building Sendoso, like there had to be a ton of like assumptions that either advisors or investors gave you of like, man, best practice, you got to do this, or don't you dare do that. Like, what's the one that comes to mind that you said, yeah, F that, I'm not taking that advice. I'm going to do what I want to do and it actually resulted in some like tangible wins?
Yeah, I mean, I think recently and I think we're hearing this more frequently, but we were pretty early on from switching to the model of the kind of the predictable revenue. You need a gazillion SDRs to make pipeline and outbound work, to how do you automate that with more tools, especially AI tools. So we've been on that for, a couple of years now, and touting that horn and building out our, data sets so that it's easier to do these AI outbound automations. So I think that's something that, we had to take a bit of a twist from the spreadsheet kind of math that you'd thought about in, yesteryear, to say, actually, let's kill that spreadsheet. Let's invent a new spreadsheet. So I think outbounding is an example of that. Probably one of the other early ones for us was events too. I think events for us was an early way for us to seem a bit larger than we were. We'd sponsor a ton of events when we were kind of Series A stage. And sometimes events, you have a kind of a squint your eye to see the ROI. And a lot of times in those early days, your VCs and your board, or even your fellow colleagues, are like, oh, we're not seeing the ROI on these events. But we saw the kind of the inbound coming in, not attributed to the event, but we said, hey, we're seeing lots more inbound. As well as in the early days, we saw a lot of outbound that turned to inbound, even though it wasn't attributed that way. And so I think some of those channels that, are a little bit harder to attribute, but, I was in my gut said, hey, we need to do more of these.
And they're not immediate wins either, right?
Correct.
I mean, that's the other challenge. We were just talking with a founder today and basically said, look, the event is going to be good from a lead gen perspective. Attribution's always a tricky thing that we need to figure out.
Yep.
But also, like, it's not like you're going to get leads next month.
Yeah.
Like, it could like evolve over time. And by the way, if you're using the event strategy, couple that with a gifting strategy, and it's like amazing, right?
Yep.
And I'll tell a quick gifting story that I actually did that actually led to something. I did a gifting with a Florida Blue, and we did a gift off to like their to like not this like right below CEO, like a chief information officer, and did a big gift to them that was super relevant and got a meeting immediately. And I think that process, that mind shift, is something to get away from all this noise that we're leveraging today.
One of my favorite event to gift stories was a bunch of years ago. We were at an event and someone stopped by our booth. He was like a VP. He was on crutches, and he had mentioned that he had broken his ribs skiing. And so we quickly gifted him, by the time he got home, some Kansas City baby back ribs, and had a funny, quirky note to it talking about his ribs. And it was, it wasn't an expensive gift. It wasn't like the most amazing thing we could have ever gotten him, but it was more the thoughtfulness, the creativeness, the kind of human to human nature of like, hey, this person actually listened. They followed up. It was different than just a generic, email. And so I think that's one way.
But that's the thing, though.
Want to buy is they want sellers that are, connecting. So
100%. Like everyone thinks like, oh, it has to be this big, elaborate, expensive gift, or they go the exact opposite of, I'm going to send you a paperweight for your desk. And it's neither. It's thoughtful, it's relevant, and show that you listen and care. Yeah. And while that sometimes could be as simple as, seeing that I'm a huge 49ers fan, and you could get that from my LinkedIn, other times you have to go a little deeper and actually listen to those conversations. I love that, whether it's, barbecue or bourbon or, something for Dale's boat, whatever it happens to be that shows that someone. That's what brings a gifting strategy to life versus especially selling to sales and marketing leaders, knowing that, I hit a certain stage in Salesforce and this was auto sent out.
Exactly. Yeah, I think gifting can be just like a means of communication at times. It's a personalized way to just say, hey, I want to chat, or hey, thank you, or hey, want to grab your attention. And, the gift itself can be really relevant, but not really expensive.
People buy from people. That's why companies who invest in meaningful connections win. The best part? Gifting doesn't have to be expensive to drive results, just thoughtful. Sendoso's intelligent gifting platform is designed to boost personalized engagement throughout the entire sales process. Trust me, I led sales for a Sendoso competitor, and I could tell you no one does gifting better than Sendoso. If you're looking for a proven way to win and retain more customers, visit sendoso.com.
Yeah.
So I love that. I want to go somewhere. So you are the CEO of a gifting company.
Mm-hmm.
You as the CEO get prospected a shit ton from people to buy their technologies or use their services or whatever. How does someone gift to you appropriately? And has anyone done it that's made you say like, wow, this is effing great? I would love to hear that story, because I'd imagine you're very difficult to gift for.
Yeah. So I would say I am so surprised by how many people don't gift me. Like
Mind-boggling.
mind-boggling how many emails I get, or, just generic LinkedIn messages that are not gifting. Especially knowing that we have thousands of customers that sell to me too. And all those folks could easily gift. And I'm like, failed opportunity, especially when you're a customer of ours. But again, it goes back to listening. I think I did a podcast maybe 6 months ago and dropped that I liked Casamigos tequila, and somebody had a bottle show up like a week after it was the podcast went live, and I think it was a great way of saying, hey, they were listening, and I think it was interesting that they paid attention to the podcast, so they put in the time, and it caught my attention. I'm like, yes, of course, I'd love to follow up. And like, I'm a sucker for taking meetings, so I love hearing about new tech, especially if I'm gifted to. I'm like, I have to,
right? Like, you're speaking my language now.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, especially if they're a customer of yours, that then if they leverage Sendoso to send you a gift, like that's like the trifecta.
I know, exactly.
It blows my mind that if someone's a customer of Sendoso trying to get you to purchase their tech, that common sense isn't like, let me use his tool to gift him. Like, how do you not do this?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I also want to give a shout out to you guys, because I think something else that you guys are doing ahead of a lot of the market is nearbound, I wouldn't necessarily say influencer, but like people that can help leverage networks for you guys.
I kind of think about it more of like our community strategy. There's a lot of different terms flying around, or what you calling it, but I think we've done a great job of there's kind of 4 different ways that I look at this, and that we're strategic around it. One that the newest one is kind of our Senfluencer program, where we're reaching out to other B2B influencers in the space and getting them excited and incentivized to kind of talk about Sendoso. And so that's building a community of folks that are talking us up, are mentioning, are putting it in their LinkedIn profile. We then have our Supersender community, and this is more of a user group that we share insights with, and those folks are more kind of your typical user community. I really embrace our kind of alumni community too, and post employees that have worked here and engage that folks. And then I've got 100 plus advisors too that I've built over the course of the last 5-6 years, and that's another community I use just for awareness, for advice, but also again, if they're at a conference or they're talking up gifting, they're going to mention us. And so it's all about just building an army and a community of folks that can continue to spread the word, which I think is critical when it's really hard to get your word out there.
Yeah, we're big Katie
Katie's
fans.
amazing.
She's done
a great job.
She's done an amazing
with this
job.
program.
I may or may not have sent her a screenshot of us chatting it up right now.
One of the questions that we get a lot as well is how your leadership changes. So you were an enterprise sales rep, and then you are starting to, you start up a company, you evolve, and you've been, growing this company for a while over through different iterations. How has your leadership evolved over that time?
Yeah. So I think, there's a couple different ways that I look at it. One is the types of leaders that you look to collaborate with at different stages. I think the type of person, C-level or VP that thrives maybe in a seed or A stage environment can be different from somebody in a B and C stage. And it's important to have those heart-to-heart conversations with those executives, either challenging them to say, are you ready for the next stage? Do you want the next stage? Are you the right fit for the next stage? And being open to it too. So there's no blind side, and there's transparency. So I think that's critical, because some leaders like certain stages more than others, or some people are like, hey, I want to take a shot on this next stage, let me do it. And
Right.
So I think that's important in terms of leadership, and leading by having transparent conversations with your leaders.
It's so interesting to me because a lot of folks don't talk about this enough.
Yeah, I
A
agree.
leader who thrives in Series A
Yeah.
might want to go to Series C. They
Mhm.
might not.
Yeah.
Conversely, they might be great in Series C and they might not. And having those conversations and understanding not just what you're good at, but where you want to go. I think a lot of leaders are way too quick to do the opposite of it's either I'm absolutely going to take you with me because you're my guy and you started this,
Yeah.
or flip flop. Dude, I can't take you with me. You're a Series A guy. You're not a Series C guy. Have that conversation, get to know people, understand their skill set, and work to develop people. So I love that you said that. I don't think people do that enough. And I think
I'm
some
seeing
people are just builders, right? And some people aren't.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm seeing some of those builders, like some of those more early stage A and B folks, play a bigger role in this, like, return to efficiency, kind of what the series maybe C and D folks, even B, C, D, were kind of notorious over the last 20, 21, 22 to kind of growth at all costs. But you almost needed that mindset of like Series A leader to come in and kind of reestablish the more automated or hacky or unique creative strategies. And then I think AI is putting a new spin on it too, because it's reinventing the game. And if you're a later stage growth leader and Series DE later, you probably have this playbook that you've deployed multiple times over the last couple decades, and that playbook's kind of blown up, and it's been reinvented, or reimagined, and so that's where I think it's interesting to maybe take a different look with your Series D company recruiting a new CRO, maybe a more automation focused, AI focused, scrappier Series A leader could do the job better.
All of us builders are used to building with no money. It's very different when you have D-level money and you could spend at all costs, where now it's like you might have the money, but the goal isn't to go spend all the money.
Yeah.
Great call out. Kris, when you look back, when you look at the journey of Sendoso from start to now, where the product has morphed to, the acquisitions or partnerships that have been made, what's like one really critical decision that you've made? Kind of like what I would say is like a turning point of the company that really determined the trajectory of the success that is Sendoso today.
Yeah, great question. I'd say one of the early ones, I think, for us was probably about a year in. We moved from kind of an outsourced 3PL warehouse provider that was not ready to scale up the scale we needed, to bringing it all in-house and then scaling it with internal experts and leaders and leadership that really understood our model, and hiring some of the smartest executives from Amazon and other companies, and building out logistics as a competitive advantage. And it's easier said than done when you click a button and then the box magically appears at the prospect's or customer's door. But for a lot of that, there's a lot of software we've built, a lot of logistics processes we've built behind the scenes, making that magical experience so quick and seamless. And so I think that was a pivotal move for us, and one that was expensive and a lot of effort and a lot of learnings, but one that's really paid off as we can now almost infinitely scale and have the leadership and expertise to really future-proof ourselves.
I find it fascinating, and not to cut Dale off, but like when you look at Sendoso, I do. The initial thought is like, oh, like you guys are a cool software and gifting company, right? Like you're selling SaaS, but there's a whole logistics arm. And like, to anyone listening who has never sold something that, forget the software component, is a physical product that you have to get from point A to point B, and PS get a logo on it.
Yeah.
It ain't easy.
No.
So like you're not a typical software CEO. Like you're a software CEO, you're a logistics CEO.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many pieces of the business that I don't think people realize have to come together, to your point, that you click that button and that box shows up. It's not software where you click a button and it just turns on.
Exactly. And then on top of all that, now we're a data company because we've amassed, hundreds of millions of dollars spent on our platforms, tens of millions of senders and gifts going out. And so now we're layering all that data into our recommendation engine for what's the right thing to send at the right time to the right person with the right message. And so now we have to be a kind of a data company on top of it all too. So it's fascinating.
That's super cool.
So that's actually a great segue into the next thought I was having is like, where do you see gifting Sendoso in the next 3 to 5 years? Like, where's this all going? What's a glimpse into the future?
So I'd say some of my predictions revolve around, I think there's going to be further automations. We still see a lot of CSV uploads for bulk sends, or we still see a lot of area for improvement in the sales integrated process, where instead of just a one-off send, you use intent data to trigger it, and it's more automated, where you're kind of looking at it before it's going out, or you're just saying, hey, I'm going to set these parameters and kind of craft my gifting strategy. But when the intent signals and the contact data and everything align, it's just going to go. And kind of more of like a marketing automation-esque. So I think that's going to be a big trend. Obviously, data and AI, we're just scratching the surface on all the really interesting suggestion engines and feedback loops we can build into our product, which I'm really excited about. I think gifting will also take place in other parts of your marketing or sales channel strategy. Like we're seeing some of our best customers put a gift incentive in a LinkedIn ad and drive better conversions, or after someone downloads content, a surprise gift sent to them to say, enjoy, this coffee e-gift on me while you read this content. And some of these experiences are integrating gifting into content marketing, integrating into digital advertising, integrating it into event marketing in a more automated programmatic way. And I think that's super fascinating, because if you can get 1, 2, 5, 10% conversions on some of your other channels, it's a big multiplier.
Or maybe even post sale.
Yeah. Post sale.
Everyone's thinking about pre-sale.
Yeah.
It's funny to see how it's evolved, right? Because gifting used to be so prospect heavy, and like now there's so many different ways you could use it. To your point, Dale, I love how you talk about post sale, and even for engagement, we use it in all of our newsletters, to drive engagement. I think that when you look at it across the entire go-to-market motion is when you're really going to see gifting make a difference. Kris, as we wrap up, we'd love to jump into some rapid fire. Here's the rules. 10 words or less. Otherwise, Dale has a gong that magically comes out through the screen here. And we'll try to have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
I'm going to go off script, Dale. Kris, what's the worst gift you've ever received?
The worst gift. I think a wrong size t-shirt. That was pretty bad.
Yeah. What's the first app you check when you wake up in the morning?
I will check my Google Mail.
Okay. Early bird or night owl?
Both. Ooh.
Yeah. Burning candles.
Follow up. How many hours of sleep do you get a night?
Well, I'd prefer about 6 hours.
Okay.
I do have a 4-month-old, so now like a good 4 hours is even a win.
Yeah. True story.
If you weren't in tech, what profession would you be in?
Maybe like professional golfer. Even though I'm not great at golf, it sounds just like fun.
Nice. What's one word to describe your startup journey so far?
Fun.
Love that. Okay,
since you had the worst gift, what was the best gift you received?
I received an Oculus way back when I wanted one. I had mentioned it, and someone sent me one, so that was like a killer gift.
I bet they got a meeting.
Oh yeah,
that's definitely a meeting getter. That's a great gift. Kris, what's your favorite guilty pleasure snack?
White cheddar popcorn.
Nice. Last one. Dream vacation destination.
Maybe a beer garden in Germany.
Nice. They're an Oktoberfest,
Exactly.
of course, right? Yeah. Awesome. Oh, you're on mute. This is awesome. He's actually hit mute on the podcast. This could be the best day of my
Classic.
life.
Wow. As I was saying, we are so grateful for you joining us. If folks have not checked out Sendoso yet, you have to go check out Sendoso. But to do that, send me or Dale a direct DM. We will make a direct introduction for you to someone who could get you exactly what you need at the Sendoso team. There is no other way to gift. Kris, where can people find you on LinkedIn if they want to reach out directly? Not to say what's Sendoso, to actually connect.
Yeah. Follow me on LinkedIn, add me, or even email me, Kris, Kris, at sendoso.com.
Awesome. Kris, thanks for joining, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having
Thank
me.
you, sir. Appreciate you.
See you guys.